I think people can be in love with somebody, madly in love, deeply in love, and have sex with them or not.
Yeah.
But want to have sex with other people too.
Yeah.
Because they're compatible with them or because, I don't know, I just feel like in that sense, they're two different things.
Definitely.
And you wanting to have sex with somebody else shouldn't take away from the love you have with this person. I think society, again, here we go, has gotten those two things twisted together when they don't need to be. Like maybe they needed to be before because people were, I don't know, traditionally the man would go to work, the wife would stay home and raise the children. I think we're kind of out of that at this point.
Hi. The following is a conversation with the polyglot content creator Damon Dominique, who is the author of the book You Are a Global Citizen. We discussed creating original work, getting plagiarized by others, finding a place that you belong to when you uproot your life, the idea of soulmates, marriage, and more. I will leave links to his work as well as his highly successful online courses on how to learn French and Spanish in the show notes or description. Before we get going with the conversation itself, I wanted to thank the sponsor of this episode, which is NordVPN. I have been using NordVPN for years, and I love it. I use it the most often to watch material that is available only in other countries, such as the World Cups, which were streaming on Peacock, which is only available in the US, not in France. I also used it to watch the Wimbledon final where Alcaraz beat Djokovic. Incredible match. Would not be possible without a VPN. Those are some core memories that NordVPN has made possible. Also, I prefer to be connected to a VPN when I'm connected to public Wi-Fi. I just feel safer that way. For the record, Nord do not just do VPNs, they also have NordPass, which is a password manager, and NordLocker, which is encrypted cloud storage. If you are interested, you can get an exclusive deal on a 2-year plan using my code Nathaniel Plan with the link in the description below. It's really great to use, excellent interface, and perhaps most importantly, it has never been a problem in terms of slowing down my internet, so there's no reason not to use it. And it's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Thank you, NordVPN, for sponsoring this episode and supporting this podcast. And with all that said, let's dive into the conversation. Okay, I wanted to dive into, just like straight into the deep end, if you're down.
Okay, go.
So, I don't know if you'd be cool to talk about the kind of plagiarization that took place. You know, the woman who kind of stole your style a little bit. You cool to talk about that? Like explain the situation, because I think it's a really interesting discussion in this day and age about art and originality and whatnot. So just explain what I'm referring to.
Yeah. So basically, we all have a thumbnail design. And so I had one that was really whimsical and it was almost like a vintage movie style. And then, I don't know.
Really well done. I mean, it looks like a movie poster.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I hired a designer to help me with that. Yeah. I gave her the idea. I'm like, I want old Hollywood. She's like, what about this? So I put time and effort and money into this, right? And then like a year goes by and I get a DM and someone was like, oh, I thought this was your video. And I was like, me too. And it was some other channel. I think it was like a fashion channel where they go up to people on the street and they're like, hey, what are you wearing? La, 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 la. And the videos are so well done. But yeah, she had taken the exact thumbnail design. Yeah. And I don't know, I was just kind of like, this feels very petty, but it also feels like there's no, like, this is just going to keep happening.
So I guess to also kind of reinstate or like place an emphasis on the importance of this, like the thumbnail design was important because you were trying to distinguish yourself, right? You wanted it to be immediately recognizable, which it is. It's a very unique thumbnail style. So when she started doing it, it's kind of like, okay, well, it's not just Damon's anymore, right?
Yeah. Okay. Number one, imitation is flattery, or so they say. Like perhaps not online,
right?
Because then people are getting it twisted.
I get that, but it's probably hard to think like that when you see it, right?
Yeah. Again, it was more like I just wish people would use their own brain in some way, like not in a sassy way, but more just like, come on, girl, like I've seen your videos, they're cool. I just wish that you would, you come up with the idea, and you come up with what you want your channel to be representative of. But then I have this other side of me that's like, who can really own an idea? Like I got it from old Hollywood, so it's not my idea either. Right. But it's kind of like, okay, you can see that I've done this for 10 videos. Like, why are you trying to, why you gotta use that same thumbnail design? Since that moment, I moved on. I'm just going back to the basics.
Yeah. But so you're not doing that style anymore. So do you see what I mean? She swiped the style.
Swipe or
and
no
now
swiping.
Yeah. Well, and now you're having to reinvent again.
Well, that's good. That's YouTube.
And I think that's life. And I think that's just being an artist.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about, I mean, were you angry as like the first initial reaction?
Oh, definitely. I was I was just like, I guess my first emotion is always not bitter, not like bitterness, angriness. It's more like disbelief. Like, really? Like, come up with your own idea. I think that's what's more interesting. And that's like what's interesting about people in general, that we all have different styles and different things to say. And like, if you're just swiping someone else's thumbnail design, again, this is probably like the most I've even talked about it, because there's a part of me that's also kind of like,
don't even bother addressing it.
Don't even bother. And also like, this is just YouTube. Yeah. Like, there's so many more important things in the world, but for people like us, like that is part of our craft and like our art, if we want to take it that seriously. Like everything we put out is our art. Yeah. Like YouTube at this point is art. In fact, actually, the other day I went to the museum, Fondation Louis Vuitton. Okay, this is kind of controversial, but I was...
Okay, bring it on.
Okay, I had this thought. Here we are, everyone's like obsessed with Jean-Michel Basquiat and Andy Warhol, and we're in this museum looking at all their artwork. Don't get me wrong, I love both of them, and I think that they'd be proud of me for saying this. I was like, if they were brought up in our day and age right now with the internet, would they be as like critically acclaimed as they were?
Are you saying because they wouldn't stand out so much, they wouldn't be so
many? There are so many Basquiat these days, and there's so many Warhols, and that's the beauty of the internet, but also the, I don't know, like the negative aspects of it too. Because there's so much cool shit out there.
I mean, in some ways, they kind of set the precedent, right? It was like artists try to break down barriers increasingly to like just explore what's possible. And then it's like what's scandalous today is like what's normal tomorrow, right? And so I don't know, but I feel like this whole discussion about originality and what's yours, I don't know if enough people are talking about this right now. I mean, when you first mentioned this to me, because we did a little catch up recently, and that's kind of what sparked this question. My first thought was like, damn, AI is just going to change everything right now, because we're seeing all of these like, did you see the SpongeBob song that was done in the style of Kanye West or whatever? No. Like, yeah, just people are doing these insane kind of, they're taking stuff that exists and remixing it in the style of another artist, but without ever asking the permission of the artist. It's like, you don't...
I feel like we have to give that up at this point.
What do you mean?
Oh, that we just have to...
Just let it go?
Yeah, and maybe I think that because of what like happened with my thumbnails.
Yeah.
Sorry, it like also sounds so absurd that we're talking about thumbnail, but it's part of our job, honestly.
I mean, no, I don't think it's a small thing. No? I don't think it's a small thing. I think this is huge. I think you put a lot of effort in trying to do something to be original, to stand out, to be Damon Dominique, right? Which is your brand. You've invested in this. You've worked on it for... How many years have you been doing YouTube?
Yeah, no, we were like, back in the day, it was Joe and me, and we were like 2012, like doing it when people were like, you guys are really, like, what are you doing filming yourself?
And so now, in the course of a few weeks or a few months or however long it took this woman to take, you know, the
thumbnail and get more views. Oof.
It's just, I find, I mean, it's in her right to do it. It's like, you know, there is no rule about this.
There's no rule.
And I do think that at the end of the day, the only thing you can do is continually reinvent forever. But I do feel like it's so dangerous at the same time that we're just going to be like, gotta let this go, because soon AI will be able to do anything. Anyone will be able to create anything, it feels like. And it makes me sad because I value so much artists that invest in trying to create something that feels a little bit original, a little bit different. And that takes time and effort, you know?
Yeah. But also think about it, in 20, 30, 50 years, it's going to be even harder to come up with like an original idea because it's all been done in some way, or you can really do it with AI. And wait, before we move on, I wanted to say,
go for it.
I don't know everything about NFTs just yet.
Okay.
But it's really taking all kinds of topics.
It's kind of related. I'm curious where you're going to go with this.
Okay. I haven't quite figured out NFTs, but I feel like they're going to be necessary in terms of social media for this reason exactly. Like, I came up with a thumbnail design, and now somebody else can just use it and like, you know, make even better videos and get even more views. That's fine. But I mean, if we were to log on to TikTok right now and go to like click the song, like a trending song, you're going to see just people doing the same thing over and over and over and over. And so we're going to need some sort of NFT.
Yeah.
Is that what that's for?
I think so.
That's what that's for.
Because it's all about sort of like a digital certificate, right? That this is actually
who came up with the idea?
Who came up with this, or the creator of this? Yeah. And we don't have a system right now that tracks that sort of thing. You know?
Yeah, I feel like we're going to need something like that.
The copyright, right, and protection for artists. It's a system that exists for a world that is fading, right? It worked for the past. Yeah. It doesn't work for this internet age. But does this make you question the value in investing in creating like a unique looking thumbnail? Does it make you just feel, I don't know, does it make you jaded?
I feel like two ways about this. Like, number one is I had done 15 videos with that thumbnail. Like, it's time to move on anyway. The internet moves so quickly. Like, we see it with Netflix shows. Like, they get like 2-3 days of like buzz, and then it's on to the next, and it's forgotten. So in a way, it's almost like a blessing. I always have this like optimistic side of everything that happens in my life. I try to see like, okay, maybe the universe was like helping me out here. Yeah. I also feel like I have another side where I'm like, it's not that deep. It's like, yeah, we're going to have to find a solution for this in the future anyway with NFTs. Or, I don't know. It's like, I'm not the only one that this has happened to. Yeah. Has it ever happened to you? Like someone just straight up stole your stuff?
I've had definitely, I mean, you see this sort of thing on YouTube all the time where it's like you do a video and it does well, and then you see other videos with the exact title and like essentially the exact thumbnail as well. That case, that example, it doesn't usually work so well because if it's already been made and you're too similar, you do look like, you know, you ripped off from the other person.
I was doing Red Wine Talks. I did like 3 seasons of it. And then all of a sudden I felt like everyone was starting to do some sort of like picnic talks or sitting down talks with a glass of wine on the table. I felt like it started, and it's not because of me. Like, I'm not that original, but yeah, I think,
I mean, at the same time, you did a great job of it and you made it look really fun and really cool. And how could you ever control? I mean, people are going to be inspired by what you did and try to do the same thing, you know?
That's what I was saying. Like, imitation is flattery, I think. Yeah. But I think it's more like as soon as I see other people starting to do it, I lose interest in it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I feel like there's something in certain people. I have this like rebel inside of me that if other people are doing it this way, like I want to do it this way. So if I was doing that thumbnail and then like she starts doing it, I'm like, it's not as fresh anymore. Totally. And it doesn't, I like things that are fresh and new. And it just, if something seems tired and played out, like I don't want to be over there.
That's the artist's journey, I think. It's this constant search. I mean, I do this to myself, actually. Even if someone hasn't ripped off a format of mine, if I just feel like I've pretty much perfected this and I feel good about it, that's it. I think I have to move on to the next thing, the new thing, you know? I like to think that I'm a 3-dimensional evolving person that doesn't continue to do the same thing.
You are ChatGPT.
I sound artificial right now. Okay, so I was curious. This is a really abstract question, so I don't know if like, you know, you can kind of explore this with me, but and it's related, I guess, to this discussion about originality, but I feel like you have developed really good taste.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you know, this is visible in your interior design choices. This is visible in your like storytelling approach and even just like aesthetically, right? Like the aspect ratio of your videos, right? How does that work? Is it just kind of like you live your life and you kind of see things that spark excitement within you and you're like, oh, well, I'm going to take that and try to adapt it into, or what's your process? You know, how does taste developed?
I don't know. I wouldn't even call it that because I would say you have taste. I would say the person who's your neighbor has taste. We all have different, I guess the word that we're using differently is taste. Yeah. We all have taste. It's just a different kind of taste. Yeah. For me, for my videos, for example, I shoot everything in 4:3 just because I'm like, I don't need any more. Like, you don't need to see that trash can over there. Like, I feel like my story, my vibe fits better with that. It's more a question of like, what do you want to watch? And I feel like that's something that I really, I feel like if you want to go deep, it's like, I think that's our point being here as humans. Like, what are you creating? How do you want to change the world? What do you like? That is why you are here. That's why I'm here. That's why you're here. That's why everyone's here. And some people are able to like tune into like, what is my view on the world? And how do I want to present that? And so like maybe you use the word taste, but I don't know. I wouldn't use the word taste. I would just use that's your personality. That's your style. That's your identity. And some people are, I guess, good at putting it all out there.
Yeah.
In their style. But yeah, you have the same thing. I walked in here and I was like, dang, you did a number on this one.
Appreciate that. But so are you kind of saying that it's more of it just happens naturally, or did you put effort in developing? So it's an intentional thing. You crafted your look. Well, you crafted your...
Not even meaning to. I think we all do.
Okay, so it does happen kind of naturally by living life.
Yeah. Okay, wait. Yeah. Hold on.
It's definitely a really abstract question.
No, I know, and I
ask you this because I know the reason I ask you this is I know a lot of people really like. You can talk about Damon Dominique in third person, right? It's like,
my God,
it's
can
like,
you?
Yeah, it's like a look. It's like a. I mean, okay. I was thinking about this just the other day. Your Paris is not my Paris. You know what I mean? I have a version of this city that I share that's a reflection of my life, the things that I'm attracted to. And your version is like kind of an alternate universe. It's still Paris, but it's like Damon Dominique's Paris.
More like surrealism or absurdism.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And there's something about that that's really fascinating to me because it's kind of like I get to go on a little trip to Paris, even though I live here. If I ever watch one of your videos.
That's a good way to put that. I like that.
And so I'm kind of, I guess I know people feel this. I know people can sense this when they watch the videos, but it's like much harder to understand how you can create something like that, you know? And I'm wondering how you went from just any old person who maybe doesn't even know how to make videos to being able to create this universe.
I don't have the answer because I'm not like, I don't know. It's just something natural in me. Yeah. But I think, over the years and over the months and over the hours long edits, like you just kind of start realizing like, oh, I think that is my style. I mean, to be real, like it's been years and years and years that I've made videos like reinventing my style. But yeah, I would say there's definitely like a surrealist angle to it. And I think it all ties back to like my philosophy on life that like we are all here and like let's have a good time. Let's like make a movie out of our lives. Like what do we want? What would we want to watch when we are like replaying the movie of our life? And I think for the majority of people, they wouldn't even want to watch their movie. They'd rather watch someone else's. And that's like sad to me. I wish that they would create the movie that they want to watch themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I also have a side of me that's like the world is so heavy and so like it's so intense out there that I just want to create something that's really feel good. That's like can just like lighten the mood for a second. No one can make the best decisions when they are so like bogged down by like world events that are happening day in and day out. So I don't know. I just feel if I can like lighten the mood and be a little bit more goofy and I don't bring some more like joy to people's YouTube screens, then like that's great.
Totally. So you've talked a lot about growing up in a trailer park, right?
I actually don't feel like I've talked about it a lot.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a few videos on your channel addressing kind of your background a little bit, and it's just in my mind, it's just such a different world to the one, like such a different life to the one that you're living now.
Accurate.
How do you think you ended up here? Like, was it you're breaking out of that? You feel trapped in that? Or was it just, I'm going to explore the world, you know? And it just kind of happened that you ended up in Paris but also in so many other places as a global citizen?
Well, first off, first off, a lot of people in my family still live in the same trailer park, actually. Wow. Well, my brother, all his kids, my grandma, Bernie, lives in a trailer. And I think it's something like, since I grew up in one, I don't see this like negative stigma really, because I had a great childhood and I would go back in a second. And I also don't see the people who are my neighbors valuing like a life in Paris more than their own. It's not like just because I or they grew up in a trailer park that we put ourselves down here and put everyone else on a pedestal. We were like, okay, we're in a trailer park and we have a nice community pool. Like this is just our reality right now. There's nothing sad about it. And I don't know. I feel like I might mention online because I want people to maybe change their opinions. Like, it might be a trailer park. It might not be the most beautiful place to live, but
that's funny because that's great that you said that, because I kind of assumed that it was like you needed to escape. That was why you were bringing it up, because now you're living in this beautiful city and you're
not at all
clearly attracted to like
aesthetics.
Beautiful. Yeah, exactly. But it was more so kind of just trying to change the image of coming from a place like that.
Yeah, I feel like now I look back and I'm like, damn, that was a great deal. Like we had a double wide, 3 bedrooms. We had a community pool. We had a tennis court. That's where I like developed my love for tennis.
Yeah.
It was a great place to grow up. But in terms of aesthetics, I mean, yeah, it wasn't a beautiful place. It wasn't a dingy trailer park, but it also wasn't like it wasn't Paris, you know? I don't know where that side came from because it seems like I am the black sheep of my family in that sense, that I want to be in a beautiful place and they like couldn't care less. Or like I always had FOMO that I wasn't in a big city. I felt like life was happening in these big cities and I need to be there because I don't know, I just felt that. And they never, not only did they not want to be in a big city, they preferred to not just stay out of it. Like there was an active choice that they didn't even want to be there. I don't know. I don't know where the aesthetics part came from. I find it really interesting that there's like this duality. I hate that word, but there are all these internet words, duality, nuance, like Okay, there's a duality. They're like people who live in trailer parks and there's like a whole stigma around it. And then there's a whole community of people who want to live in tiny homes and live out of their RVs and van life. And you see this duality of, I don't know, the world that like, what's that TikTok trend that goes around? It's like
expectations versus reality.
No, it's like what's something that's stigmatized if you're poor, but like something to desire if you're rich, or cool if you're rich.
Yeah.
And so
like the whole sort of gosh, I'm gonna put myself on blast here, but it's like wearing overalls as a fashion thing, whereas it was like kind of a working class. Yeah. That sort of thing. Is that kind of what you're referring to?
Yes, absolutely. Or like growing up in a trailer park, stigmatized. But growing up in van life, that's amazing. Or wanting to live in a tiny home. Wanting to live in a tiny home, cool. Wanting to live in a trailer park, not cool.
Right.
Wanting to be nomadic, cool. Being homeless, not cool.
Right.
And so you could see it's really just a shift in perspective when you look at it deeper.
Totally. So that's kind of why you bring it up. You're just like, this is an important thing in my history that I'm not embarrassed about or that I didn't try to escape from. This is just part of my, No,
I mean, when I'm in high school and not like emotionally intelligent, you haven't figured out the world, of course, I tried to avoid saying like, oh yeah, I live in Glen Ridge Manor. Like I'd be like, I live over there in Fort Wayne. Like I would say a certain part of town, but now I'm like, no, the trailer park was great. And I would be lying if I said I didn't look it up again to be like, how much is lot rent again?
Yeah.
Because that was a great deal. As long as a tornado doesn't come by.
Oh my God. You dealt with tornadoes?
I think today I'm terrified of storms because...
Are you serious?
We were in a trailer, in our double wide trailer, and my mom was a boss. There'd be a tornado warning. The siren would be going off. Tornado warning means a tornado has been spotted in the area. Like, get your ass somewhere. And you're in a trailer park, so it's like your house is not attached to the ground. You can fly up. So protocol is to go to the clubhouse. But mom's like, oh, we're not going to the clubhouse.
What was in the clubhouse?
It was just a brick building attached to the ground, so it was shelter.
Why would she not want to go there?
Because she's like, it's gonna pass over. Like, it's not gonna hit us, and it never did.
That's funny. That's not a thing in the West Coast, as far as I'm aware.
Oh, yeah,
I don't think there are tornadoes over there. I mean,
Have you never heard that sound that comes on the TV?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
It's like the Amber Alert. Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's scary though. So
dang. Wow. Okay, so
I don't know.
You were the black sheep in the family. Yeah. I'm going to hit you with one of your own questions from your book. If you're cool with that. I don't know if people have already done that. I don't know if this is an original idea right now. But
which one?
What you have most in common with your family and what you have least in common. I feel like I'm butchering the question itself, but it was like along those lines. So it sounds like the kind of perspective outwards to the world is maybe one of the biggest things.
Correct.
Is there anything else that really distinguished you?
That's very different.
And then I also want to hear what you feel is very similar. You know, like
my brain is like all over the place, but I feel like there's a link between comedy and like this rebelliousness that I feel towards like life and government and society. And that in order to be funny, you have to risk, period. You have to risk what people think of you. You have to risk yourself.
Saying something offensive.
Saying something offensive or saying something out there. And I don't know, I've always like loved watching comedy, stand-up comedians, and I've always been drawn to those people because I feel like they are really confident people, confident in themselves that no matter what joke I say, like I'm going to be okay at the end of the day. If people boo me or throw a tomato at my face, like I'm still going to be okay. So I don't know, I've always been drawn to those people and I liked that they were willing to take a chance. Like that was badass.
I love that point. I mean, I think that's great that you have that criteria for your videos. I feel like a lot of my videos are just not funny. So, but it is, I think I should think about this a little bit more actually, because what do they say in movies? You make them laugh first and then you can make them cry. Something like that. It's just sort of, I think humor can also relax you into an experience.
Yeah. Well, actually they say there's another quote that's like, a comedic actor can do drama, but a dramatic actor can't always do comedy. And so the true test of like being a good actor is like being able to do both, and not everybody can.
But people are shocked when comedic actors do a great job dramatically, right? Like Jim Carrey, right? Or
Steve
that's
Carell,
true.
Right?
Yeah,
that'd be interesting to see him do.
I mean,
drama.
he has done Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I don't know if you've seen that one. Have you seen it?
That's the next podcast. Yes, I love that movie.
Okay, so that's him in a dramatic role.
So right. You're so right.
He did. I mean, there's plenty of examples. Truman Show is a great. It's comedic and dramatic. I feel like.
See, people love him. Not only is he hilarious, but I like him as a person. I like him not only for his comedy and like his jokes, but I like him as a person because he's willing to be goofy and to risk he's willing to risk being himself in front of others. And I don't think most people are willing to do that.
Yeah. And not just goofy.
Look dumb.
He's definitely willing to do stuff that people would criticize or be like, that's weird. And
no, that's what's cool. That's what's cool about him.
Yeah. No, but that's interesting. That's a really interesting point about humor. Dang.
So you've going on it.
You've really consciously thought about this.
Yeah, I feel like.
You feel like the world is too cynical or too...
way too serious. Yeah. I mean, if you literally go to CNN, MSNBC, or Fox right now and look at the news, it is just fear-mongering all article after article. Like, it's actually insane that we call that news. Yeah. And even we see it on YouTube too with people using it could be the most polite, wholesome video, but people use such a catchy title, and I hate that.
But we do have a negativity bias. I was literally going to give that example. I get it. I honestly, I don't think you have to necessarily lean into the negativity bias. You just have to be more creative if you're going to do something that's positive to pull people in.
I just don't like it at all because it feels gimmicky, and I don't want to. I don't want to contribute to it, even if it does mean success online. I'm like, but it's success at what? To what extent? Yeah. To what end? Of course, if your goal is to get views, do it. Yeah. But I think there's some people are online because they want, that's their form of art. Yeah. And so maybe some of my coolest videos aren't getting the most views, and that might hurt when I'm looking at the analytics sometimes. But then I'm like, okay, it's not all about views. There are views and there's art. I don't know.
And we mix those two up, don't we?
You mix them all the time. That's what's interesting. And that's why, I don't know, people are always people just question why the world more and more, it seems like more and more people in today's society have anxiety and ADHD, and every other year it's a new diagnosis. People are diagnosing themselves and people wonder why. And then, I don't know, some of these things are so clear to me. It's well, you're taking everything you love to do, you're creating an entire brand out of it. And then when you look at the analytics, if people really like you or don't like you, it's no wonder that you're going to have anxiety, because now it's a clear representation that people do or do not like you. Totally. And it's just not a healthy mindset to be in. So I think if people can recognize that pattern that they're getting in, I think the world would just be a healthier place. Oh, it makes a lot of sense that I feel anxious right now because I've made my whole lifestyle a business.
Do you feel like you have ever fallen into this trap yourself?
I know it's just an up and down game with YouTube.
So you're kind of zen about it at this point.
At this point, yeah. I feel like I know.
But how long does that take?
I feel like I've always been that way.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like I'm not a perfectionist. Maybe I feel like you are. Yeah.
I can make myself, it's funny how you can take something you really genuinely love so much, because I love what I do, and turn it into a thing that is unpleasant because of how uptight you can be about it, But the problem is I have this really strong association with high quality work equals high quality other things in my life, like making more money or career advancement or admiration from people or just feeling good about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you cannot go nuts on the details of everything all the time. You just can't. You'll go crazy.
I got beef with YouTube.
Oh, okay.
I just...
Who doesn't?
It drives
Who
me
doesn't?
nuts that they release that update. I think you know which one I'm talking about. You release a video and it compares it to your last 10.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Like, not only do you have to compare yourself to everyone else online, but now you got to compare yourself to yourself.
Yeah, but I told you this, I think,
silly.
when we met up the other day. I don't look at it all anymore.
Do you do the hack where it's like you got to like type in like to the last video or to the, like all your videos?
I
so
literally
you don't
do
see it?
this. I
do it too.
For people just listening, I basically put my hand up when I type in YouTube Studio. I click, and then I go to the sidebar. I click content, and then I just kind of look at the one that I got to jump to, and then like pull the link or change the description or whatever. But I think the problem we have today, which is a problem that
lay it out for him.
What?
Come on, lay it out for him. The problem today.
The problem today that has never been a problem, I think, before for humans is we have too much feedback. I don't need to know minute by minute how many views this thing is getting. For some reason, that just kind of leads me to spinning out of control sometimes. I think, so what I've been doing lately is I ask around me like, okay, is the video performing average, above average, below average? That's about all I need to know, I think. And then honestly, what's really cool about that is I feel like I have more energy and bandwidth to move on to the next thing I want to make or whatever. Because sometimes, this is kind of embarrassing to say, but it is the truth. It's like if a video really badly bombs, I'm kind of like in a depressed little puddle, for like a day or for a chunk of time. And
that's silly.
That's such a waste. It's so silly. And I just have to have these systems to protect me from not falling into that,
I was going to say it's silly because it really says nothing about your video.
Right.
It's more like, say if the 10 best directors released their highly critically acclaimed movie on the same day that you post your thing, it's not that your thing is bad because it gets less views. It's just that there's more content out there that's really good.
Yeah.
So it's really not a measure of like the work you put out. It's just that like creative people are getting to do creative things now. I don't know. And like that's good and bad to some extent. But again, we're having this conversation where we're valuing views, period. Yeah. That's not what we should be valuing. We should be valuing like, is what I'm putting out actually cool?
Yeah.
It might not reach everybody. That's fine.
But you know what? We still live in a world, in a society or societies that are about these kind of metrics. Like, I mean, what is the Oscars?
Are they?
I mean, what is the Oscars?
Oh, well, I mean, you don't have to give them all your power.
No, you don't have to. But I'm just saying that, like, I think there's a lot of buy-in to these sorts of things still. I mean, so many people, he seems like a nice guy, Jamie, like Mr. Beast. But, like, so many people kind of have placed...
I've never watched a video, but I know of him.
Okay, you're at least
aware... I know
Mr.
Beast, but I didn't know his name was Jimmy.
Okay, so, I think he's the most subscribed to YouTube.
Like that.
Okay, and because of the incredible, massive numbers, he's become an authority in many ways. But I really think it should just be like one kind of authority. Like, okay, he's really good at what he does, but there's so many other ways to approach things. And I don't know, just because it has the most numbers does not equal best. Best is very subjective.
The Oscars and all these accolades, I don't mean to take power away from people who are winning. They deserve it, but it does make you think, like, people who win the Best Actor, Actress award, it's like, but that's only taking into account the scenes that were chosen for the movie. Like, say that I I give the best performance, and then someone sneezes in the background. Right. We can't use the take, but I literally acted my ass off right there. And I would have won the award, but that take wasn't chosen because this person has allergies.
Yeah. So you think it's not enough credit to like the editors and people behind the scenes? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's more like we can...
Is your point always like expand your concept of this thing? There's always more going on.
There's always more going on.
Yeah. I mean, it's true.
No, I'm saying like the person who wins an award does deserve the award. It's more just like, I guess I'm trying to give power back to the people, everyone who doesn't win an award, to be like, okay, well, yes, that person did win an award, but maybe this other person would have won if their scene was chosen as the award winning, I don't know. Or maybe we're two singers and we're both on a track and we're at the Grammys and I don't know, maybe the time you hit the note was not actually put on the track. I'm just thinking, like, I feel like people give away their power to other people, to all these accolades, to all the views, when they don't need to.
Yeah.
If they just maybe, like, think one more layer deeper.
Totally.
Like, what do these awards and accolades actually mean? Who's choosing them? And, like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, this is like the first time I've been saying this stuff out loud, so it might be a little...
I mean, that's what this whole podcast is about, baby. This is all about
Have
exploring.
a backup plan. I'm kidding.
Oh man, I just think you should be able to like explore these ideas, and if it's kind of messy a little bit, it's fine. Like we're all figuring this sort of stuff out. My ideas on this kind of thing shift and change too. Like there was a point where I was like, I got to be a published author, you know? But then at what cost? You got to be careful.
I could tell you.
Because there's lots. Oh.
I could tell you.
Oh.
Oh my God. Okay. What? Next question.
Okay. So let's go back to that question about family. I guess you wanted to talk about humor, and we did explore that a little bit.
We kind of did.
So, but I'm curious about what you feel how you're very similar to your family. You always surprise me, you know.
Why?
I don't know. You'll say something and I'll have my own kind of like interpretation of it. And then you're like, no, that's actually not what I mean. And I'm like, oh, okay. You know, like
complete misunderstandings is how we communicate.
Yes, exactly.
Great.
I just love your point about like the trailer park stuff, you know. 'Cause I when I first heard that, I was like, he's talking about how much he kind of glowed up, basically, right? But it seems like you actually just honor that place.
Absolutely, and it's also my family still lives there.
Totally,
so
but I think a lot of people move to Paris and are kind of like, I'm done with my previous life. I'm living my Paris life now, you know, or whatever, or big city life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anyway, that's just an observation, but I'm curious now to explore more your relationship with your family, if you're down.
I would definitely say that I got my like, you're not going to tell me what to do aside from them. Like my brothers are very rebellious. They were always like bad kids. Like I grew up in a family where my two older brothers were like always getting in trouble at school. Like they're with a new girl every week, like very much like that. And I was a goody two shoes, like
wow, interesting.
Straight A's, honor roll, top of the class, like homecoming king.
Really?
Yeah. And I feel the need to mention it every podcast I go on. Oh yeah, no, I was most spirited. I was a good kid.
Yeah.
Straight edge till I was like 27. Then it all went downhill.
Oh my God.
Then I became like my brothers. My true nature came out.
Wait, what happened when you were 27?
Took Molly for the first time.
Okay. And that changed my everything.
Life. It didn't change everything, no.
Oh,
it's like, again, giving too much power to these external things.
Yeah. Whoa. Okay. How did that was it at a rave?
Oh yeah, I turned it down so many times because I was like, this is not cool, you guys. Like the government says it's bad.
That was your reason?
Absolutely. You know, it was very much like trust the government. People have elected these people over centuries and centuries. Like they must be doing something right. And now I'm like,
yeah,
maybe there's something deeper going on.
I think for me, the angle, like with psychedelics and whatnot, it's not that at all. It's like I want to honor the power of this thing. I want to make sure I'm doing it at a time that's appropriate and in a place that's appropriate and with the right people. You know what I mean? Like
that's fair.
That for me is important because like I feel a lot of people have bad trips on with psychedelics because they don't take the power of the drug seriously. It's kind of like, ooh, I want to discover myself or whatever, and they just throw themselves into a big dose, whatever, and it's just kind of like a poor experience afterwards because they're not ready for the intensity.
Could absolutely happen. Yeah, you're spot on. I'm not going to deny it. That happens. Yeah. That happens. But I feel like that's the side of psychedelics and drugs in general that always get talked about. And the positives don't ever get talked about. And especially not in the media. They're not going to talk about it because it's controversial, you know?
Yeah.
And again, that too is stigmatized. But if you notice a theme going on, it's like, think for yourself. Like, who told you this information? Did you try it? Did you go see this country? It's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm always operating from that point of view. Like, how will you know anything until you've tried it yourself? I don't know. That's my rebellious nature.
Okay, interesting. Was there something going on in your life in particular at 27 that kind of made you
27
switch over? You're like,
when...
that's it. I'm kind of done trusting the government, trusting the rules.
I mean, come on. I'm not that like conspiracy theory. No, I think what for psychedelics, for example, I think what changed it for me was realizing that there were all these smart people, my friends, smart, good people who would like take Molly on the weekends, and yet I had heard such bad things about them, about drugs in general. And then I was kind of like, well, this doesn't make any sense. Like these people are super smart. Like I wouldn't be friends with them, sinon, like if not. So then I took it and I was like, what? Like this is what the big like this is why there's so much like I don't see what the big fuss is after I took it. I was like this is great. Like why would this be so looked down upon?
Yeah.
And then of course like upon further research it's like, well, governments don't want you to question the status quo and the systems in place, and that's exactly what it does. It takes your thinking to these other levels where you start I don't know, you start seeing like the oneness of people. I don't mean to get all like spiritual, but I don't just it just lights up your brain.
Yeah.
In certain ways.
I mean, alcohol is a really powerful drug that destroys a lot of people's lives, and it's perfectly legal, you know? So
I mean, I don't even, I've never liked alcohol really, unless it was wine. But yeah, I was never a huge drinker at all.
yeah. Wait, so I was going to ask you about looking for a home.
Ooh, yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So was there a feeling of home when you were living in the United States growing up, or it was just like already from the get-go, I don't belong here, I have to get out into the world?
No, it was never like I need to leave right this second. It was more like there's so much out there, I would be a fool to not want to explore it. It was not coming from this negative mindset. It was more like, I'm so intrigued by the world. Like there are millions of people out there and I want to meet them and see how they're living. And if they're totally happy living over there and never coming to the States, then they must know something that I don't, because I thought everybody wanted to come to the States.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if
and a lot of people do. A lot of people do. And you know what? The U.S. is a great place for a lot of people. You know,
why are you smiling? See,
I
we feel two different ways, I think, about the States right now, by the way.
Okay.
I shock you every time.
Yeah, go for it.
I was going to say the longer I spent out of the States, I mean, I studied in Paris in 2011.
Yeah.
Was going back and forth. Now I've been here for like 5 years. I've always traveled. And now, I don't know, I'm able to see, now that I've been out of the States, I'm able to see why somebody would choose the States.
Yeah, no, I do see that. I definitely see that.
So I'm able to like see the pros of living there.
I just like ribbing the U.S. because it's like he's top dog, right? And I mean, legitimately, even now, I kind of talked about this publicly, I guess, a couple of years ago, but my opinions haven't changed. I just don't see a life there at this stage of my life right now, or maybe ever. I do enjoy visiting, but really after a short amount of time, I'm like, this isn't my place. This isn't my place. I've never, ever felt at home there in the way that I feel at home in Europe, you know? But I do think that there's a lot to be appreciated about the United States. It's just, there's so much, it's one big experiment, it feels like, you know, and so many ambitious people go there and try things and are building the future in many ways, right? So I think I've said this before, talking with you even, like I'm grateful to be American, but I just don't have like this.
The American spirit.
It's a little bit of a turn off to me to be like, I'm so proud, I gotta show it to everyone. So, but I don't know. It seems like you've kind of
cooled off on that.
Well,
let's see.
You've had a great time in Florida, so like,
I love Miami.
Yeah, so maybe that contributes to.
I've considered going back, and then I just realized that I don't think I'm gonna be happy anywhere
In any single place.
Am I happy here?
Yeah.
Yes. No, I'm only happy here a few months of the year, I think, and that's.
Wait, are you happy here right now or not?
Yeah, no, I'm happy everywhere I go.
You love to complain about Paris. You love to.
I love to complain about everything. Come on, maybe I really am French, because the French would defend me right now that complaining shows that you've thought hard enough about wanting to be in a place, and that Paris doesn't have everything.
Yeah.
And you're right to complain about certain things. I was walking to your house and there were a lot of tourists. That's something to complain about.
Yeah.
Also, it's not, because it's a beautiful town and we were tourists once too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm done with this idea that home is a permanent place that I have to stay in, and that just because I bought a house, I have to be there for the rest of my life because I bought a house. No, if it's not working out in 3 years, I'll sell the house, and that's the solution.
Totally.
Or I'll rent it out. So I don't know. That idea is exciting to me. Like, cool. Right now, Paris works for me. I'm every sign is pointing to Miami Beach. Maybe I'll go there, but also maybe in 10 years, like Zimbabwe will call my name.
So is Paris like a home?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think everyone has homes, period. Like with an S.
Yeah.
Homes. But I think society makes it, the way society's set up, people can only really have one home.
Right.
And I think a lot of like really society's like unhappiness is because maybe people have this urge that they want to go explore, but their job doesn't allow it. Because in the States, you get 2 weeks off of vacation, like, and you have all this debt from college, and it's really like they are anchoring you there. I don't agree with it. And so I don't know. I think a lot of people have it in themselves that they want to go explore the world, but they just can't because of the way society has made it.
Totally.
Unfortunate.
One thing I really loved about Vienna, and actually this is something that kind of has existed in Paris as well, is their coffee houses, which can be described as like an extension to people's apartments, like an additional living room where you'd go and hang out with people and talk. And that for me is connected to the concept of home, that it doesn't have to be restricted in your own little box, that you can go to a place that feels safe and do something that feels stimulating and enriching to your life. You know?
Yeah, I think it's a little wacky for all of us to be like, these are my four walls. Like since I provided this imaginary financial exchange, that I have to feel like this is my home. And once I step out of this door, that's no longer my home.
Yeah.
Like this whole space is, I don't know, the whole space, even when I walk outside on the street, that can be my home.
Yeah.
It's really not, home to me is not like packaged up and boarded up by walls.
I totally feel you. The counter I would say to this is me getting this apartment, for example. I felt a level of, I mean, it is kind of ownership. It's like a connectedness to this space where like, okay, cool, I can craft it how I want. And that extended to a connectedness to the neighborhood and the city and like the people that I live with. Like I'm not like a temporary passenger.
Well,
I mean, we all
this
are.
is your home. Like this area.
This area, exactly.
Like you're crossing the same people. Tu croises les mêmes personnes. You're seeing the same people every day.
Yeah.
This space is becoming, this entire neighborhood is like your home, not just like this space. Exactly. Then again, you could argue like, well, it is home in a way because you bought these things because you think this represents who you are and the things that you like, and you got a soda stream.
Yeah.
Because you like sparkling
water. And it brings me joy, man. It brings me joy.
Cool.
Yeah. So we're all, I said I'm not a temporary passenger. We're all temporary passengers in this life. So. But it's sometimes... And I've had very nomadic phases, but sometimes it's kind of nice to like plant the flag. You kind of did that with your apartment in Paris too, for the record.
I get it. I totally get it. The thing that's the most exhausting about traveling nonstop is not the traveling part. It's, for me, the having to start over with your friendships in different places.
Yes. Yeah. That is tough, man.
Like, it's nice that I can come over here and we can start a conversation having known the previous conversations.
Yeah.
Like it's like we can start from a shared point, and we both know each other's past, and we like have built things. We've been to coffee shops, we've been to restaurants, we've drank on that street. But when you go somewhere new, you got to start from zero again. Hi, my name's Damon. I grew up here. Like, that gets exhausting.
Do you feel it's getting harder to make new friendships as you get older?
Okay, yes and no. I would say yes, it's getting harder because you've like curated your taste, and as you get older, you just know yourself more, like what shows you like to watch, what interests you have, what kind of person you like or don't like. So in that way, you figured it out to an extent where like if I meet somebody at a party, I'm going to know immediately like, okay, we're going to get along or not.
The type of person, yeah. Do you ever surprise yourself? Sometimes I connect with people, I'm like, dang, I didn't think we would be friends, but we are. It's awesome.
But yeah, recently I haven't been meeting many people. You go in phases.
Yes, yeah.
You go in phases.
That was the first thing I thought when you said that. Yeah.
And then I don't know. Lately, I haven't been meeting many people because I've just been in a different phase. But I'm about to go travel again, so I'm sure I'll be meeting tons of people.
I kind of feel like my time in Paris. Obviously, I have a social life here, but I am kind of plugged in work mode, and it seems like when I travel, I'm kind of automatically more in social mode. You know,
100%.
So
I feel like the only place I now meet people is at the gym. That's the only place.
that's funny. That's such a
I'll be like,
Damon.
hey, do you need that? T'as besoin de ça? Ok, moi je peux le prendre. Ok, d'accord, merci.
Yeah.
Tu t'appelles comment déjà? Oh my God.
That's so funny. Okay, I want to hit you with a few more questions from your book if you're down.
Oh yeah, 1 second.
Do you believe in soulmates? Just kidding. I mean, I actually want to ask you that, but I wanted to ask it to you as you were pouring the water. Just
I don't know. I feel like it's foolish for all of us to think that there's only one person out there for us when there are 8 billion people. Like, you're trying to tell me that there are 8 billion people out there. Okay, divided by 2, you get what, 4 billion, because the male, female. Then divide that by, like, I don't know, 10%, cut it down to like 10% of people you're actually going to be attracted to. So I don't know, we're still probably at hundreds of thousands of people at that point. You're trying to tell me there's only one soulmate for me?
you think,
I think there are multiple soulmates.
Okay, but what do you think that number is? Do you think it's 50? Do you think it is a couple 100,000? Like, do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people out there for us, like compatibility wise, and we can see it. I think, I feel like maybe this is just my friend group, but like no one's en couple, no one's in a relationship right now.
Interesting.
And de plus en plus, people are getting. I feel like people are becoming more and more comfortable with the idea of being single, and I think it's because with the dating apps, we're able to see just how many people we, I don't know, might vibe with. Then again, I never meet up with anybody at a dating app, so that's kind of bullshit. But that's a me thing. Like, I could meet up with these people and realize maybe we are compatible. And I think the idea of there's only one soulmate for us, I don't think that's correct.
It just feels too Disneyland, right?
It's feeling Disneyland. Yeah, I just think there's more. There are more than, I don't know, there's more than one person out there for everybody.
Yeah.
I also, if you want my honest opinion, I think it's interesting that we are always trying to like match up with another person. Like, what if the idea of life was if everyone just loved themselves, and then we had friendships and we had like relationships here and there that lasted a few years, and that was just how society functioned. To be honest, I think that might be a more like healthier way to like have society. Because right now it's like the way to find true happiness is to find your one true partner. And everyone's so fixated on this idea of like finding their one true soulmate. And for most people, it doesn't happen. So they either settle, they're going to be unhappy, or I don't know, or they don't find the person, then they're also unhappy. So everyone's unhappy all the time.
I mean, I do think most people in relationships are not as happy as maybe they try to make it look.
Could be.
And I don't know. For me, I also don't buy into like that there's one single soulmate, but I also don't buy into there's hundreds of thousands of potential matches. Like, I actually don't really believe that. Maybe it's because I feel very aware of the limitations of life, like how much time we have, how much bandwidth. You're talking about the only new people you're meeting right now are the people in the gym. You know what I mean? Like, realistically, that number of really, really special connections feels like it's a small number. I think it's more than one, but I don't think it's a big number, you know?
There wouldn't be enough time for that anyway.
There wouldn't be enough time for that. Yeah, exactly. But I also just think, I don't know, there's something special. Do you or do you feel like it's hormonal, it's just chemistry?
No, I'm always like, I agree with the idea that it's so magical and romantic to meet one person and you guys are going to be happy for the rest of your life.
Not just one person. I'm talking about a special connection. It doesn't have to be like the one person, but there is something magical about it.
There is. But then I'm like, do we all just think that because every movie in the history of time has been about that? If every movie in the history of time was about Eat, Pray, Love, Julia Roberts going around and just like finding her true self and all these exotic places, would we all want that? I don't know. I think the things we've learned or like the things we've consumed in our life have a lot to, I don't know, I need more sparkling water.
I'm hitting you with these. I mean, your book is loaded with these great questions, but
that was in the book?
Yeah.
Oh, the soulmate thing.
The soulmate one.
It wasn't in the book.
Yeah. There's just like a lot of tough questions to answer where it's, you know, it's kind of like, there's not necessarily a clear answer. I think your whole thinking behind this was to just make people think, right?
Boom.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah. The whole point of that book is not that I have the absolute truth that I'm trying to like share with the world, or that I think somebody does. I think it's, we all have a brain, and I wish some people would use it.
Yeah.
No, I just wish people would question things a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's
Definitely.
all. So yeah, things like soulmates, like, oh yeah, we're supposed to have one. Oh my God, I haven't found that person yet. It's like, well, do you even believe that? Or does someone just teach you that and you kind of agreed and just absorbed the information?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that you're right. That's the whole point of the book. Specifically that book, to not just absorb the qualities of our nationality, me being American. It's to like look at the rest of the world, what's out there, and be like, oh, maybe I would vibe better in that society.
Yeah, totally.
I support the things that that society supports.
I mean, I think we all just want to latch onto simpler solutions, simpler ideas.
The herd mentality.
I mean, and I think we all have to check ourselves, right? Like put ourselves in check with this sort of thing, because it is easy to fall into that. I mean, I feel like I'm having to constantly be like, wait, is this my own idea? Or is this just like, this was just something I picked up when I was 12, you know? And like political views, right?
Yeah. And we'll never know. I don't think you'll ever know that. Again, there's no like correct answer here.
Yeah. Do you think you'll ever get married? Can I ask you that?
Oh yeah. Oh no.
No?
No, I mean, oh yeah, you can ask me that. And oh no, I don't think I'll
Yeah.
get married. Again, with this tying back with the same idea, there was an episode of Sex and the City where, what's her name? Carrie was like, it's so messed up that I am a woman in my 30s and I have to keep registering for all the, I don't know these words, I've like never been to a friend's wedding. She was getting mad that she had to keep registering for other people's weddings and buying them a wedding gift to celebrate like their union together, but no one was ever celebrating her as a happy, individual, childless woman, individual. And so I think in the episode, she like throws a party, a huge celebration for herself, and like, yeah, I'm out here living my life too, everybody. It's not just because I haven't found somebody that I'm supposed to be unhappy. So do I think I'll get married? Probably not married. I'm not opposed, but the idea of like proposing to somebody and like having to get a joint bank account, that kind of stuff, I don't know. It's one of these, I feel like marriage is one of those things that I'm not opposed to, but I don't need it to happen. There are other things in my life that I need to happen. Like I need to travel. I need to see most of the world before I dip out of this lifetime. But marriage, like whether it happens or not, I think I'll be fine. What about you?
I mean, I definitely would if the right person comes along, you know, but it just has, I feel like I haven't even really come close yet to having the right person come along. So until then, it just kind of feels like a distant idea. But life can twist and turn so quickly, right? And in the span of a year or whatever, things could really change quite a bit. So I guess my answer is pretty similar to yours, that I'm open to it.
Yeah.
I would like it to happen, but I'm also really not there right now. So we'll just see how things naturally evolve.
I know. For me, it's like, I don't know if, maybe it's just the semantics. I get like caught up in the actual words. But for me, like a marriage sounds way too official. Like maybe a celebration.
Yeah.
A party.
The problem I have too is I kind of don't really buy into two people spending their entire lives together necessarily. It works very rarely. It works sometimes, but it's rare. How many, you know, married couples who've been together for 30 years like don't even touch each other anymore or whatever, right? It's just like, I don't want to end up there.
Most of them actually, I don't know this information. I don't know why I'm saying that.
Yeah, just most.
I don't know why I'm saying that. I don't know. Maybe they are.
But it feels like that, right? Anecdotally.
It does.
And I just really don't want to end up in, and I get that it's so hard because it's like you try building something with someone, so you're kind of locked in, right? If you have kids or whatever. And, you know, then things can become so ingrained in place that undoing something like that that's gone for 25 years feels impossible.
The whole idea is, all this shit is so absurd to me.
Yeah.
Like that, does that sound good to anybody?
I mean, I don't think it sounds good to anyone. Have we convinced ourselves? I'm just trying to make the point that people get sucked into it without meaning to.
I think so.
And undoing it requires tremendous bravery, right?
Correct.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. At the same time, my parents are like the best example in my whole life of a successful couple. It's very rare, very, very rare. They kind of fly in the face of this theory that I have. And I know a few other couples that seem genuinely very happy. So I have some positive examples. And I think if it weren't for that, I'd be even more cynical about all this stuff. So I know it's possible. I think you just have to really pick someone with the right values and kind of head in the right direction. And
and a shared
so
vision of the future too. I think some people actually do have a shared vision of what they want their lives to look like. And I think sometimes people get, they get married, but they don't actually want the same things in life. And then, they feel trapped inside a marriage where, I don't know, maybe somebody's more ambitious than the other, or maybe the other one is more sexual than the other. And I think they're just not compatible anymore. And then some people they found each other and they're like aligned on that. So congrats to your parents.
Yeah. I mean, I think it always takes a ton of work, right?
Not even congrats though. Here we go with like my words.
No, I like it, but I don't know where you shake your head. Oh my God.
Not even congrats, because it's like, I guess congrats to your parents, but also congrats to everyone else who figured out that maybe they aren't compatible in their relationship and they should also be celebrated.
Yeah.
So congrats to them too. Congrats to everybody.
Totally. It's not a failure not having that, I think.
You
know? But I used to feel that way. I used to be like, damn, I can't find someone, but because I have standards, that should be something that is a massive positive, right? Like, I really think, and it makes you call into question so many things. Like, obviously it's toxic, I think, in many ways, to have a body count, right? Or whatever, to be tracking that sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
Or place an importance on that sort of thing.
Forgot that people did that.
Yeah. I mean, okay. Yeah. You've spiritually evolved beyond. But I think like a lot of people fall into that trap, honestly. I mean, I have thought about it. You know what I mean?
Is it a trap? I mean, if it works for them, why not?
Well, okay. I don't know. I just feel like tyranny of the numbers, right? It's not good to reduce people down to numbers. But my point also is that like, if you have a high number, maybe, I mean, it depends on a lot of factors, right? But maybe like you don't have super high standards, and so having a low number is not necessarily a bad thing or whatever. I don't know. I know you have we're landing on the sex positivity, which I know you have a strong stance on as well.
Oh, I definitely do.
You just think globally people should have more sex.
Yes. More people, more sex. Everyone should be having it right now.
Okay. In many ways, I agree with you, but don't you agree that a lot of people have sex for the wrong reasons? Like just for like validation or, they're trying to fill this kind of
feel
loneliness.
Good with their body. The way I come at it,
that's a good reason.
Yeah, okay.
But that's not always the reason why people have sex, I feel like.
You think people are doing it to feel validated? I would say that's not a question about sex. It's a question about their own self-worth that they got to figure out.
Okay.
But the sex part, whether they're, I don't know, eating to feel better or having sex to feel better, that's not about the eating or the sex. It's about the step before that.
Definitely.
I don't think that's about the sex though. Sex. I just feel like our bodies can do this really great thing that feels so good. And it's the reason I can sit here today, you can sit here today, and we're all acting like it's bad. I feel like it's something, as long as you're safe when you do it, as long as, I don't know, you wash up afterwards and you make sure to pee and you just like, you do the correct things and you get tested. Like, I think it's all fine.
Yeah.
I think it's totally fine. I don't know why we're so against it. And I think maybe the reason we're so against it is because we are kind of coming out of this age in history where people were coupled up and it was soulmates. And I don't know, the union of two people was like a highly cherished thing. And I think we're kind of like maybe on, like, I don't know, evolving into something else. I just think if previous generations had access to the internet and being able to see everyone who is out there like we can now, or being able to travel as easily as we can, would they be making the same decisions as us today? I feel like they would. They'd probably be a little bit more liberal with, I don't know, love as we are today. It seems like we're all kind of just a little bit more open to other things that could be happening, right? Like,
I'm not sure.
We have access to the internet today that exploded our curiosity, whereas previous generations didn't have that. So I guess I'm not surprised when, I don't know, my grandparents don't understand my open-mindedness or liberality, liberalness on that subject.
Yeah.
Because all the songs back in the day were baby love. Like, it was all about my baby, my girl, my guy, my one person. And now it's like, we had Alanis Morissette.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, I think the internet has changed a lot more things than we've actually been able to articulate. And I think, I don't know, love is one of those. There's a point in here somewhere.
Yeah. No, I feel you.
Okay.
Okay. One more. I'm going to hit you with one more. If that's cool from the book. Also from the book. The book is loaded with great questions. Do you feel like you can separate love and sex?
Yes.
All right. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Yes. I think they're two. I think they're two completely different things.
Okay. Can I ask like an out there question? Do you feel like maybe, this is out there. This is a huge generalization. I don't know. I don't have my own conclusions on this. Do you feel like maybe guys have an easier time with that than women generally?
With what?
Separating sex and love.
Oh.
And that's obviously we're changing the norms. The world's changing, but maybe like the way we've been socialized.
No, it's interesting. I'm trying to think of it right now too. Like, why would they? Why wouldn't they?
Like, do you think your ability to separate the two comes down to an intentional decision, or the way society raised you, or like your biology even maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, I don't know. I feel like it wouldn't be, I don't think someone's gender, male or female, would have anything to do with that. I don't know. Perhaps if you look at the biology, like maybe there's some sort of something in our DNA or X chromosome here, like maybe, but no, I think there are just as many like free-spirited people out there who are women as men.
Yeah. I think I agree with you. I don't
think that has anything to do with it.
It just sort of occurred to me. I was like, I don't know. Cool. Well, we touched on everything that I really wanted to touch on.
Wait, do you think you can separate them? Love and sex?
Yeah. Okay, so the podcast is done. But no.
You got to answer too.
Yeah, so I think that I can, but
or you can.
I think I can, but not that much.
Okay.
Because I think when love and sex overlap, it's like the best flavor, you know?
It's great.
And so like it's kind of like having Italian food for the first time in Italy. You're like, oh no, I can't unknow this. So now Italian food in other places, not done by Italians, it's not the thing. You know what I mean?
Don't come for Olive Garden.
Yes. Well, so, you know, like I think that's kind of where I'm at. I don't have hard rules about this though, really.
I was going to say, that was not the question. Everyone would agree with you. I think that having like sex with someone you're in love with is probably an ideal situation. But
no, I think I can separate the two. Yeah. And I really think it's an interesting question because it actually depends so much on the circumstances and the person you're with and the time you're in your life, you know, and your actual individual chemistry even. I don't know if you must have thought about how like, isn't it weird how it's like easier to flirt with certain people than other people? You have just like a natural, immediate energy thing going on. And with other people, it's just like,
it's just falls
I can't
flat.
go there. I just can't. Yeah. I don't know. So yeah, those, I think all those things play into it, but I would say yes. But I think like, at least for me, but I think a lot of people have this as well. I'm looking for the best flavor. So,
well, yeah, of course. Well, I think when I wrote that question, can you separate love or sex? I was asking two questions actually. Number one, like, can you separate love and sex? But also, I think that can you still have sex with other people when you're in love with somebody else? I think that was like the second question that ended up getting cut because they were like, God, like turn the computer off, Damon. Because I think people can be in love with somebody, madly in love, deeply in love, and have sex with them or not.
Yeah.
But want to have sex with other people too.
Yeah.
Because they're compatible with them or because, I don't know, I just feel like in that sense, they're two different things.
Definitely.
And you wanting to have sex with somebody else shouldn't take away from the love you have with this person. I think society, again, here we go, has gotten those two things twisted together when they don't need to be. Like maybe they needed to be before because people were, I don't know, traditionally the man would go to work, the wife would stay home and raise the children. I think we're kind of out of that at this point. So I think it's time for like a new wave of thinking.
Yeah.
Web 3.
She's coming all the way back around. That's so funny. Actually, I want to add a little clarity to what I said though, because I think we're using the word love. Love is a really strong word for me. I think I'm talking about like just a real connection.
Okay, yeah.
Sex and a real connection. Because I think, in my view, it takes time to build up to that, right? Like I think things can definitely start casually as long as it feels like there's the inkling of something there.
Yeah.
The problem I have is when it's like clear as day in my mind, we are not a match, like even medium term, I do find it a little bit more difficult to go there. Like,
well, yeah, you wouldn't want to. I mean,
but a lot of people do. A lot of people do like the one night stands or hookups or whatever.
But they
right?
have a connection, don't they? I don't know. Maybe we're talking about two different things.
No, I think you're right.
They would still have a connection to some extent.
I think that. Yeah, I guess.
I mean, it's not like two people are just walking down the street like, oh, you, like, let's go have sex.
I don't know. Sometimes I think
you think that might be the case?
I think that sometimes happens in clubs or whatever. Like, people are drunk or drugged out or whatever, and they're just like, it's kind of like, what is that description of it? Masturbating with someone else or whatever. It's kind of like,
what's wrong with that?
No, I know. Well, so I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but that's kind of flying in the face of the idea of there's being a connection. You know what I mean? Like it's just
that is a connection.
Okay, so you're saying just strictly a physical connection?
No, you could still have a connection with somebody. I think, first off, I think everyone can do what they want.
Totally.
Everyone can just go have sex, don't have sex. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't like it. That's fine. Like, you spend your life how you want to. I just wish, let's put an end to this. I just wish people would let others do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Totally.
What an idea.
I appreciate actually how much you were willing to go into topics that I think a lot of people feel uncomfortable with. Discussing drugs or discussing sex or family. Or a lot of people are just like, I don't want to put that on the internet because you can be judged or criticized for it. But I like that you're exploring and willing to go there,
Yeah, and look, it's like, I don't know if my point of view is the correct one, but I really like to surround myself with people who are willing, to go there and to be like, I don't know what I believe, but I'm willing to figure it out.
Yeah.
And try everything once to see if I actually agree with it or not.
That's kind of one of the most beautiful versions of what sharing things online can be, I think, right? It's like this journey you're on, figuring these things out. Mm-hmm. You see this evolution. It's like real life character arcs taking place. And
good point.
That, I think, should not be forgotten because I find that, people will criticize or people will say things online, but that shouldn't take away from that kind of beautiful thing of sharing something vulnerable as you're figuring it out. And maybe none of it will matter anyway at the end of the day since we'll all be dead, right? So might as well just do stuff that feels meaningful to you while you're here, right?
Yeah, I feel like that's a question you could take two ways. It's like, there's no point in being here, so why even give a shit? And then it's also like, there's no point in being here, so let's go do everything we want to do because there's so many things to do. And like, this is an opportunity, not like something to be down in the trenches about. Yeah,
totally. I wonder sometimes, it's like, if we are in a simulation, if like the people running the simulation are kind of like, dang, we created this beautiful world where they could do all this really cool stuff. The detail is unbelievable. I mean, like, I'm looking at the shine coming off the tiles in my kitchen, like just everything. And they chose to be bummed out because it's like, what's the point? Really?
I know. Isn't that nuts? That's why I keep traveling. I'm like, they had this whole world to go see and they didn't even care to see it. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
All right, cool. I think that's a good stopping point. I really appreciate this conversation. You being willing to explore these different topics. And
that's what you do on Get Your Backup Plan Ready podcast.
Oh my God.
No, thank you for having me. I mean, that's what your channel's all about too. Exploring everything.
Yeah. Rock on.
Thought, travel, interior design, all of a sudden.
Yeah. You know what? There's I don't know what the through line is. It's my life, basically, right? So, yeah.
Someone's got to live it.
Cool, man. All right. Thank you. That was a conversation with Damon Dominique. As I said at the beginning of this podcast episode, I will leave links to his work as well as ways that you can support this podcast in the show notes or the description. You can find this podcast anywhere you get podcasts. Thank you for listening.